Greetings and welcome to Second Breakfast, the second most important meal of the day. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Jason. Shawn, what's for Second Breakfast today?
For Second Breakfast today, we are talking about The Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 5. And then it's called Halls of Stone. I forgot to bring up the information. So we're going to just vamp for a second here. Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 5, titled Halls of Stone, directed by Louise Hooper and Sanaa Hamri, who did the last episode, and written by Nicholas Adams, which this is the only episode of the season that he writes.
Huh.
Jason, how did you feel about Season 2, Episode 5?
Oh, dude, I liked it a lot more than last episode, dude. Thankfully, dude. I was like on my... I got out of my chair as soon as credits ran, and I was like, thank God! No stranger this episode, finally! Finally, they missed an episode with the stranger and the hobbits, bro. Finally! Holy cow! So yeah, it was basically, in other words, it was a banger.
I liked it. I am worried because the lack of stranger worries me, because I really am not looking forward to one of these next 3 episodes being stranger heavy when I want it to be all about
Everything
what's
else.
happening in Eregion.
Literally anything else.
Yeah, so it's a little I'm a little concerned on that front. I think this episode kind of continues just something that is, I think I'm having to readjust my approach to the show a little bit, because I feel like the pacing of the first season was kind of something special, in that it almost was like, fuck you, we're going to take our time with this. We're going to kind of build this really huge story. And it almost feels like in this season, they were like, okay, we went too slow. Like,
Yeah.
there's things that are like moving really quick.
That's true.
And I still think it's good. Like, I'm enjoying myself when I'm watching the show, but I think I just have to like readjust how I'm approaching it, if that makes sense. Like, just to view it less as that long scale, like drawn out thing, and more, I don't know, it feels more spectacle this season than last, for sure. It feels like they want to get to that a lot quicker. Whereas last season, it's like there was spectacle, but it kind of felt, the build up to it felt a little more natural to me.
Yeah, I think where we differ is like, okay, so like I'm fine with this pace being like at like a blistering pace, and not even because of like knowing what's supposed to happen and that we have so much to do, like I've said in previous episodes, but actually because like, okay, so this thing, like Mount Doom erupts, and they're like, how can this affect the dwarves? Like, as like writers, right? They're like, how can this affect the dwarves? And what ends up happening is what is happening in this episode with, I mean, I guess we'll kind of get into it because it ends up being like the first thing on screen is the dwarves, where they're starting to delve deeper and go too deep because of these dwarven rings of power. And in the books, it happens way later than it is right now, but for viewing purposes, I'm totally fine with it being right now. But basically, like, you know, they're gonna delve too deep because of this ring. But I do like that there's this added part to it that isn't canon, with the lights shining in, and that's how they get their crops and stuff, and the Mount Doom erupting, and then it causes an earthquake, which then messes up all of their agriculture and stuff. This is like a logical thing that is completely different to the elves and the tree withering that was not canon.
Yeah,
and then also the thing where it's different that I actually appreciate is that this thing isn't something that is like taking an entire season to be resolved. Like it is just being resolved quickly. Like I think the passing of time hasn't been like portrayed super well in this. I think if they were to like pin down some more like this amount of time passing or showing it through more obvious like visual storytelling, if that makes sense, like I think that would be better. But I like that it hasn't taken an entire season, that we can see that there are good qualities to this ring, but then we're also seeing that there are immediately bad qualities to this ring as well.
I think most of my problems would be fixed if you cut the screen time of the stranger in half and gave it to all the other characters.
That's the thing that makes me like hate this storyline the most, right? With the stranger, is that like we could see more of, you know, Durin like struggling with what he should do with the ring, or
like that, because that is the main thing for me with this episode. And I actually don't want to talk about this plot line first. I want to talk about Numenor first, just to get it out of the way, because then pretty much everything else in the episode is one storyline.
Yeah, they are connected. True.
But when it comes to the stuff with Durin, like I feel like season 1 left me in such a place that I was so interested to see like the clashing dynamics between Durin and his father, and like how that evolves, how the ring being introduced affects that, and we're getting that for sure. But it feels like just like the last time we saw them, they were like, I think we should forge the rings. And at the beginning of this episode, it's like, that guy's gone fucking crazy because of the ring.
Right.
Like, it's that kind of thing. And that's something where if last week had 20 minutes less of the stranger, and there was even just 10 minutes of King Durin like putting the ring on for the first time, and the prince kind of being like, you know, I don't know. I think like us waiting to get to the dwarfs for so long at the beginning was a disappointment, just because there was, I feel like, and maybe this is still coming, but it just wasn't coming as quickly as I thought it was going to. And actually, I think that it probably still is from the way that things are playing out. But I had the feeling from the end of last season that we were going to see a lot more political infighting in the dwarves this season.
Right, like there would be some type of adversary for Durin.
Yeah, I think that we're still building to that, but I had expected it to come before the ring was forged, not after it, I guess. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's really my biggest complaint with the episode is...
I think that's my complaint with like kind of the season in general. Like I agree with you. Like the fact that like it's not only just this one. This one, it makes more sense to me, and I can kind of more let it slide. But where we see like Galadriel and Gil-galad like just taking these rings and then like listening to what they're saying, but like we haven't even seen any of it be proven true or not at all. Like they have just effectively for 5 episodes, they have been just blindly following these rings, and not a single time have we seen anything happen where it was good, besides like her healing the dude, right? And then I guess we see like Círdan like showing like, oh, like the fish react to it or whatever, but like other than that, it's like we're not seeing, like we needed to see more immediate good from these rings, to where they don't seem so like, oh, I'm just immediately consumed by this ring. Like it should have been more like, okay, like here are all these good works that we are immediately seeing and we're immediately doing, more than just like, oh, the tree is good now, right? Because like we all know that tree shit was like kind of bullshit anyway. Like I don't feel fulfilled in that, where you know it's immediately going to be fixed. I needed to see more from these rings in order to be like, okay, it makes sense that they're like protecting these rings with their life, that they're listening to these rings. But I would, even if they did that, I would still feel valid in how Elrond feels. Like it's not as if we see these things that immediately Elrond's position is now messed up, and that's why we're not going to do it. It just seems that it needs to be rushed because we have screen time for a fucking Gandalf Hobbit fucking bullshit. So like, I don't know. Like, clearly, I'm not a fan. But
I think that as well the accelerated or not. I mean, the rate at which they are forging the rings is leading to this kind of. I feel like it's diluting the rings really quickly. If that makes sense at all, in that, like, I feel like when there was just the 3 at the beginning of the season, it was like, I feel like I could get a sense of their power a little bit better. And then at this point, it's like, okay, now there's not just 3, here's 7 more. And we're really not even going to spend that much time with those 7 before now we're making 9 more. Like, it feels like they just keep coming and they're not, I don't feel like I'm getting enough time to sit with the batches as they're made. It's almost overwhelming.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Which might be kind of the point.
In the books, it happens over a period of like 100 years.
Yeah.
And so it makes it seem like everybody is way stupider because you can't really show this like passage of time super well while also having like this human storyline going on at the same time, because like humans just die. Especially because it's like if you just had the Numenorians, you could then be like, oh, they live long life or something, right?
Oh, you got the Southlanders,
but because of the Southland characters and stuff, it throws a wrench in it.
We almost don't even have them anymore.
Yeah,
though.
that's what's so cringe too, right?
You know, like
literally just Theo.
Yeah.
From season 1, at least.
And I think this is something that almost could even be fixed in a different edit of the season. If you just moved some of these storylines around, I feel like if we had first 2 episodes, there's the 3 rings. Then episodes 3 and 4, there is the 3 and the 7. And then 5 and or 1 and 2, maybe 3 and 4 there are about the I don't know. You get my point. I don't know how I would break it up, but yeah, I don't know when I would introduce the 7. Maybe you introduce the 7 in episode 3 and then the 9 in episode 6. But I think if you just like spread those out a little bit, it would feel a little bit better to me. And I don't know, maybe if we didn't have whole episodes missing from the dwarves when they're such an important part of this season, I think that's really the main thing. Is even if we were gonna have these episodes, like even if we have all this screen time with the stranger, I still think it would feel better if it was stretched out more and we saw more of, more of these maybe some of the scenes from this episode in an earlier episode, like last week. Otherwise, let's jump into Numenor, how did you feel about the Numenor plotline in this episode?
I would say I'm disappointed.
Okay.
I think they're really fumbling with the Farazan character. I think they could make her seem like more noble and more like he's for the people. Like I think they did a good job of it in season 1, but in this season, like he's just immediately shitty to his son, which like we all know his son is like fucking useless. But like, and like obviously he would know, but like he's immediately mask off. Like he gets crowned off screen essentially, and like the coup happens off screen, and like, which like I don't know, it kind of happens on screen, so like I don't know that I really care to see like the actual like particulars, but like he's just immediately mask off with I'm not satisfied, right? And then we see like he's immediately rude, and then we see him later looking at the Palantir but not putting his hand on it. It's like he's debating it, right?
Yeah.
If they had showed, like, to me, I have to assume, for me to feel better about it, that he's already looked into it, and it's giving him a premonition of his mortality or something. And that's why he's like spiting the elves and the Valar, like, oh, that's why they put this on this tower here on this hill, so that we could always know, no matter what, there's some things beyond our grasp, right? And I think if they had shown that, it would make this mask off situation feel better to me. But I don't know. Also, I feel like, to me, like, Farazan is supposed to be like, okay, like, and the Numenorians in general, like, they're not supposed to be like these perfect humans, but they're supposed to be strong. They're supposed to be badass. They're supposed to be long-lived. They're supposed to be wise. And like, the only person who I'm seeing who is all of those is Elendil, but like he's not really given his time to shine at all so far.
No.
And so it just makes me feel disappointed. I like that there was like a hint of like chemistry between him and the Queen, and so you're like, okay, what's going on here? Aarian's character, I wish they would have shown more of the grieving and infighting of him or of her and her father. Because it just seems like they hate each other frame one, right?
Well, and this is, I think, it's similar to, what I was talking about before in terms of the pacing with the relationships and things. But I just had this thought right now of, it feels especially bad to me in this setting to have these like rapid turns when, like, I think of Fellowship of the Ring and Boromir. Like, Boromir is done so well in that movie,
especially in the extended cuts where you see more of his like kingly badass nature too.
But also, like, he doesn't try to take the ring when they get to like Moria.
Yeah,
like it's not like, okay, we're an hour into the movie, let's have this guy go bad now, or let's have him have his dark moment now, right? It's like, no, it's the throughout the movie, you have like that tension of like, is he gonna do it? There's the scene where on the mountain where he like picks it up and he gives it back to Frodo, and you're like, oh, you're kind of like, you're unsure of which way this is going.
Yeah.
And then that all leads up to this big moment at the end of the movie, and it feels like I'm missing that in this. I feel like I'm missing that buildup of characters' relationships, before they get to the part that, to be fair, everybody wants to see, right? Like, to be fair, they're kind of being like, look, this is what you guys want. We're giving it to you. You guys want to get to the good part or the exciting part. And so we're going to do that. But I think it is to the detriment of my enjoyment, at least of the show.
Yeah, I agree. I guess the main thing that's like kind of strange to me is that, as far as like in like an overall meta sense, I guess I wonder like what is gonna make this take as many seasons as they say. Like, there is a lot that needs to happen for sure, but
it feels like we're speeding through it.
A lot of it does feel like it is going through pretty fast. And the thing that makes me disappointed, especially with our Farazan character, is like, when somebody is like this evil and there's this like downfall that happens, when they are already starting pretty low, it doesn't really feel like a downfall, right? Like, yeah, he's a king at this point, but like, what kingly things does he do in order for this downfall to matter, right? At least respect him, right? At least see, okay, these are the things that, like, I can understand why he is in power and why people would support him where they're chanting Farazan. Like, besides just like elven racism, right? Like, that's just like really cringe, like baseline, like. So I am disappointed in that. But between the characters, like I guess with Arian, right? Like she's not like really a character in the books, so like her just immediately being like part of this coup, like I don't really mind. I just like, as far as the relationship between her and her father, we really just get like their mourning, and then she like says some offhand shit to him, and then he gets mad, and then like that's it, right?
Yeah.
And then we have this scene in this episode where she's basically like, you're walking a treacherous path, Dad. Like, I might get you in prison, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then he turns in his stuff, and I do like the scene where everybody is like still saluting him and everything.
Yeah. Like, and that's part of it, is like, I think that the moments that are happening when you get that moment, when you get the moment of everybody saluting him, and I also think I liked the end moment of Kemen killing Valendil. Like, I think when it's time for them to hit the moment where they have to punch, they do it.
Yeah. It's
just the build up to that moment. It's like why the fuck are Kemen and Anarian working together? Like, or Aarian, not Anarian. I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. You know, it just like.
Yeah, it's hard because you have to really read in between the lines that, like, okay, so she is there taking care of the king, and then she sees this thing, and then she's seeing that, oh, because of this, like, witchcraft stuff, like, if they would have showed her, like, way more scared of it, and way more, like, this is not right, like, I don't believe this. And then having that moment where she's, like, at least confronting the queen about it, or confronting her father about it, before immediately just, this rock is why all of our family died at the coronation. Like, it just makes her seem kind of like bratty and stupid, right? She's just like an average Twitter user trying to get a gotcha moment, you know?
It almost makes the like coup seem dumb instead of like instead of impactful. It's almost like, really, this is the fucking like.
Well, and then it happens off screen too, and the moment where they're lined up and like, I think
handing in their
the
shit.
character Valandiel like does a good job, and the actor does a really good job, but it still kind of feels hollow where you're just immediately now turning in your stuff, and everybody had their rank stripped and stuff, and then he's not even like fighting for it, or he's not even like it because it does happen really fast. You don't have these moments besides like the saluting, which I think worked really well. It definitely makes
and it's
strange.
It's like last time we saw them at the end of that episode, it was like the coup happened. And now at the end of this episode, Elendil's in jail. You know, it's just like, we're not really seeing, you know, that, the kind of downfall or whatever, you know?
I would have to go back and watch, because I haven't watched season 1 super recently, but I guess where you know, you say you have to like reframe how you think about the season. Like in season 1, when we leave somebody, we pretty much always come back to like right where we left them, right? Whereas in this, probably, in like every single storyline, you have to like kind of infer what happened,
what's been happening
after, right? And I think that's fine with certain characters. Like, I don't need to see Gil-galad talking with his advisors over and over.
Yes,
for him,
I think
it
the
works.
Side characters, you know,
for him it works. For like, if like when we see like Arondir at the end of the previous episode, where he's basically like, "Oh, you can come with me if you want, Theo," and then like not seeing Arondir, and then boom, he's there like confronting Adar. I'm cool with that, right? Like, you infer like, okay, he's on this journey. Like, I don't necessarily need to see him. When
somebody's traveling,
right? I don't necessarily need to see him going through that, right? So yeah, I think that's definitely where it makes it a little bit stranger that like all of these main storylines are having so much happen off screen, but then yet like the Stranger storyline very much felt like, okay, we're seeing them, and then like the stuff with the tornado happens, and then we are seeing the immediate aftermath of the tornado, right? Like, and then we are seeing like he's traveling, and then he's talking with Tom, and then like we're not seeing like there's not really like a bunch of inferred stuff besides like traveling, right?
And I think that comes across most strongly in this episode for me, with Doran going to Aregian and back. And like if the scenes of him going to see Celebrimbor had been like last episode, and then we didn't see him for a little bit and he came back in this episode and like he had, you know, traveled back to Khazad-dûm, like, okay. Yeah. But it's like it's just you're moving everybody around so quickly to get to where you want to go. But then in some other places, the Stranger, you're not doing that. It's just, it's weird.
Yeah, it makes it, just so far like kind of just like disappointing, right? Like I'm not mad at what's happening, but I definitely can see that it could be done better.
Yeah.
Or like wishing that it could be done better, or that there was more time. Yeah. That these other things we don't care about would get less time, you know? Because as far as like substance of this episode, I don't think there was a single scene where I was like, I didn't need to see this. Everything I saw, I was like, okay, yeah, cool.
I almost feel like the only thoughts I was having is, like I said, like I should have seen this earlier.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It almost I think disappointment's right. I'm not mad about it. I'm really excited for the next 3 episodes.
Yeah. I was hoping that it was going to start this episode because, like, I saw the thumbnail.
I feel like it kind of does a little bit.
I saw the thumbnail of this episode, and you see Celebrimbor staring at his hands, right? And I'm like, oh, this is, like, where, like, Sauron is masked off with Celebrimbor, like, he's going to be losing his mind by the end of this episode. And all we get is, like, some shaking, right? I mean, I guess to wrap up the Numenor stuff, because I don't think we have too much more to talk about.
Oh, I did have one question for you. Yeah. From the lore perspective of how did you feel and what were your kind of thoughts when we saw what Elendil saw in the Palantir?
As far as I know, like the Palantir stuff is like there is a Palantir and like there is that conflict and like try to think about how to talk around with like spoiling, but like basically I don't know that it's canon that Elendil like looks into
for sure. I meant more like, does that get you excited for what is coming up in the Numenor stuff, like the teases of future storylines? Because I feel like that's kind of like the purpose of the Palantir in this show, is to be like, I know we're not going to get to this for a while, but like, I mean, the Palantir in the first season was like, look at all this fucking water in Numenor, you know? Like, so we're not going to get there for a while, but
where I think
have a little teaser.
Is weird, and we talked about this in the episode where we were talking about how like the Southlanders, like I feel really disconnected from the Southlanders because there's pretty much no reoccurring characters. I think that's going to be a slight issue with the Numenorian storyline because like, okay,
they killed like everyone.
Like Isil, the blonde friend, he died last season. The Landil just died. Like so now we just have Isildur and his father that are like gonna be
likable,
right? And like I don't know. I guess it depends. Like is the queen gonna die? Right? Like is she making it out alive from the Palantir where he's riding on the horse by himself? I'm assuming not. Right? So like when we're thinking about how
there's like fires burning and
when you get to the beginning of like Fellowship of the Ring, right? And at the beginning, there is like Elendil and Isildur are like a king and a prince, right?
Yeah.
We need to get to there. I have no clue now how he's supposed to get there. Where like, if it was like, okay, this subsect of the military through like the respect of Valandil and like this like showing of people who are like saluting him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because Valandil was a lieutenant, like he would also have respect, like the respect of the people around him, and then they also like now they have respect towards the captain, he's kind of more like a general almost, right? Like, so if he had like brought a bunch of people with him when he leaves, like maybe that's what ends up happening, right? Is like he ends up going to where he was telling Isildur in season 1, like don't go there or whatever. We don't talk about there or whatever. Maybe he ends up going there, but I guess it just makes it really like, man, like I'm pretty sure the only 2 Númenóreans that I'm gonna care about are Isildur and Elendil, and then like maybe Aarion lives. I don't know. Like who knows, right? And Farazan basically just said, "Yo, son, you not making it past this season, dog." Like he basically said that as well, right? So maybe next season he dies instead, but yeah, that's my one thing that I'm like, I am looking forward to, like Elendil being this kingly character, because I think the actor does such a great job. He's so believable. Like he's just a badass, right? Like he has aura, you know? So I am excited in that lens, but as far as like being connected to the like whole storyline, I'm not so sure. I guess I'm like on some uneven footing with it, you know? I don't think it's impossible, but we'll definitely have to see.
I will give my prediction here, since we were kind of talking about like, well, everybody's fucking dead. So how are we going to go from where Elendil is going? You know, in his vision, he's riding away from Númenor alone. This might be a little bit copium, but my thinking would be they're going to fucking bring it back around to like, oh, the west side of Númenor, we don't go there.
Right.
And we mentioned Anarion, but we haven't seen him. I think he'll go west, and like Anarion will be there, and they'll introduce him. And like
for those who don't remember, like Anarion is Isildur's brother, right? So
yeah. Like, they barely
like,
reference him.
We don't talk about him in the first season.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just as a reminder for everybody.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of my thought. Is maybe next season we see him meeting a bunch of other Númenóreans and starting like his own camp there.
Yeah, no, that's definitely more what I was thinking. Like, kind of as I was like saying it, obviously I was like, I don't know how he's supposed to get there. Maybe he does this. I don't know. Yeah. But I guess I could see like if the Anarion character is really good, maybe that's where it ends up feeling like, okay, here there's enough characters here where I feel like good, right? It's not just lead actor 1 and lead actor 2. Like there's some supporting characters, right, that aren't just I get one line, right? Captain, what should we do? Kind of characters, right?
He's right behind me.
Right. We'll take care of this for you, Captain. Instantly slaughtered, right? Like those kind of characters.
I kind of thought there was a second when Valandil was holding the sword to Kevin where I was like, he's like, this is an order from your captain or whatever. I was like, Valandil should be like, you're not a captain, and fucking kill him.
I was begging him. I was begging him to kill him, bro. I was begging. I was like, please kill this dude. Especially because I was like, oh my god, like they literally said he's gonna die, like be met by an ill fate or whatever, right? And what I was thinking is like he's gonna stab him, but also get stabbed by a guard at the same time. Is what I was thinking. What we ended up getting was like the most cliche thing possible, which is like a little bit cringe, but I think by the end, and like the actors sold it enough, right? Like they kind of brute forced it with like their acting skills to where I didn't mind as much, but it is sad. I'm sad that they killed off Valandil. I thought he was a good character.
And I do think it will be fun, like next season when Elendil finally makes it back to Middle Earth and is like, he's like, oh, thank God I finally got back to a place where everything is stable after all this time in Numenor. And he looks around and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude. Well, and like, Isildur is gonna find out Valandil
at least stable.
Well, Isildur doesn't even know that the blonde guy's dead either. He doesn't know anyone's dead.
No, he doesn't know that like
the people that matter to him
has been shaken to like that his sister is like done a coup.
Yeah, he doesn't know his sister's on a coup. He doesn't know that both his friends are dead, his childhood friends.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of funny when, because my expectation would be both the people in Middle Earth and the people in Numenor would be assuming that the others are doing fine.
Yeah.
And so when they finally get back together, it's gonna be like, wait, I thought you were cool, dude. There's 9 rings. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, it is interesting to think about what Elendil could do. I don't think. Yeah. I don't know. At the pace we're going, maybe we do see a little bit of it. Because it just depends, like, how long is bro trapped in prison, right? Because, like, obviously next episode that we see him in, he's going to be in prison. I would assume he would get out that episode, but I could also see it just being like okay, we see you for, like, just a split second, kind of like how we saw Galadriel at the end of this episode, where it's just, okay, they're in prison, right? Like they're captured, right?
Yeah. And Jason, we have so much left to do with the stranger.
Yeah. So I could see that happening where maybe he's in prison for 2 episodes, but so that makes me think. So like what? So like in that case, like that's like worst case scenario in my mind, right? Is that he's in prison for 2 episodes. Yeah. So, like, that's what, 6 and 7? He gets out by the end of 7, and then 8, maybe we see him do some shit on the West. So, I think we might see him cook a bit.
Yeah, I hope. Let's talk about the rest of the episode, which I think is the highlight of the episode. Or I want to. We've talked a bit about the dwarves, so actually I want to hit the dwarves really quick because I only have like a couple more things I want to say about them. One of the things I wanted to say is that and this is not only done with the dwarves, it's done with everybody, but I love the like minor key versions of all the like themes.
Yeah.
Or there's even somewhere like it's the dwarf theme, but also Sauron's theme played in with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. I get it. We need some convenience sometimes. Disa dropping the ball and it rolling. I don't know how far that thing rolled.
That part was like so contrived, bro. That was my one part I did not like about the dwarven stuff. I was like, really, dude? Like we didn't see it at least like fall off a cliff or something? Like it just rolls down from the market. It rolls down a hill and then into this room where she has never heard or seen of it before. Like, that's so wild to me.
Do you think that that's teasing the fucking thing from the water from Fellowship?
No, I think it's just the Balrog. Like,
you think it's just the Balrog?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering just because it was water themed. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, there was just like that one lake, and I think that's just there to like show the reverberations of the singing and the sound and the roar.
God, the Balrog. Oh, please. Yeah. We better see that this season.
Oh yeah, for sure we are. Like in the trailer, you see it.
Yeah. Please.
So yeah, that part, I was like, okay, this is so giga contrived, but I understand like why. Yeah. And it's like it ends up being kind of harmless because it's just a reason for her to not trust his father, and to make Durin have to like kind of choose between, okay, I'm listening to my wife and like I trust in my wife and I also agree with her, but also making her more vehemently against what his father is doing, whereas and obviously he shows by the end of the episode like he wasn't able to do enough to oppose him, right? He shows he has the prince's necklace on, that he's not disavowed anymore, right?
Yeah.
At least for now, we'll see. He might get disavowed again, you know, because they show that he's like very mentally unstable. His father immediately is, where is it? Where did you take it? And then like not remembering like what he said. And
there's a this is the last time I'm gonna rag on the episode, because this is the last complaint I have. It's not even a complaint. I just rolled my eyes when he's talking to like the dad and son are talking. And the dad is like, I need your axe by my side. But like the fucking, I need your axe. I was like, okay. Yeah,
I didn't actually get that as like a callback in my opinion, but that is funny.
I heard it and it felt like he took like a breath between.
Yeah, no, he definitely does. I'm looking at the scene,
and so
right?
That's why I was like, okay, I need your axe. Yeah, okay, like Gimli. But that was really the last thing. I do wonder. I liked the like final scene of Disa and Doran and him being like, I promise I'm not gonna wear the ring, and it's like, or wear a ring, and it's kind of like, you know, it's like. You sure about that?
Yeah. No, I don't think he's keeping that promise.
Yeah, it seems unlikely.
Yeah, I also, so like the one thing that I like more about the Dwarven storyline than what they've shown with the Elven storyline is we are seeing immediately tangible things that the ring is doing that is good.
Yes, that is very cool.
Yeah, and so I guess because they're moving at such a blistering pace with this, that they do need to immediately also show the ill effects. Like, I think just the amount of ill effects that we're seeing all at once is like kind of crazy to me, right? It's like, if he became a little bit untrusting, or a little bit like, oh, where did I put it? I want it. Or if he like started to be a little bit greedier with like the other dwarven realms with like the ring, right? Like, oh, it comes at a cost, right?
Yeah.
But then also it's like, yo, I also have a 50% tax on my own people too. Like, all of this combined just makes it seem like pretty crazy. I did like the scene where they show like this huge vein of gold, and they're showing like, we need to get deeper, and he's like, who made these restrictions? And he's like, oh, you did. Like, I really like the interactions with him and Narvi. I think they do such good jobs with like these dwarves feeling like dwarves, you know? They're not just dudes in prosthetics. So yeah, I very much liked that. I like that there is like the father is showing some more like jovial side of himself, kind of, where he's like, I can see it, I can see all the jewels, I can see all this stuff, and like he doesn't seem like in totally like it's like a greed thing. But obviously it is, especially with like the taxes and like the price that he's saying for these rings. So yeah, it definitely is another thing where I think it's just kind of hurt by the pacing. But I did like that you see. Okay, like this did immediately solve their problem. This did immediately help them, and that's why he would like trust this ring. I wish that there was more than just like he frame one like just became enamored with it. Like we see him like put it down and then like walk away from it and then turn back around and then go towards it, right? And I think the other thing that makes these rings feel more disconnected than when we see like the One Ring in the Lord of the Rings is that for the most part, we don't experience what the ring bearer is experiencing, minus just the visions that Galadriel sees, right? Like, we kind of see that. Other than that, we're not like experiencing what they experience, where like we hear like some whispers on the ring where it's like, oh yeah, that's definitely a good thing, right? Like so yeah. I hope that we see more of like the rings actually like doing good, but I don't know, we probably won't. Because like what good are these rings gonna do for men, right? Like, I don't think the rings really have like a inherent value other than greed. Like, we're not really seeing like Mordor, like the Southlands. That shit is gone. It is just Mordor now. The rings are never bringing that back. What is the other issue? Okay, like they're being like taken prisoner and like fighting against each other, like taken prisoner as like slaves by Adar. They're infighting and stuff. Like, I don't really see those rings really uniting, especially when like you see like we don't have like a character that could even do that, minus like Isildur, right? And so like, because everybody is just dead, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been like incredibly negative this episode as far as like what I've been saying, but I did actually like in watching it enjoy it. I felt it was a high quality episode. I didn't mind the pacing of it. I liked that it was back to what in the first 3 episodes I really liked, this like kind of suspense where like Sauron's in on this stuff, or at least like they're succumbing to their worst tendencies, and some of them are like from a place of wanting to do good, but it just ends up being like corrupted by these rings and by like Sauron, and I guess that's really all I have to say as far as the dwarves. If we want to get to the elves.
I want to talk about how fucking good Charlie Vickers is. Dude, it's crazy that like, especially after all the shit he did last season, right? Like this season, he's been in a room for like the whole thing, and he's been killing it.
It's
he's
true.
been in like
he has
the
not
same
left
room
the
for the whole show,
the entire season.
I know, right? Like,
I guess it's like he rode there on horse, then stood outside. Now he's just been in that room the entire time. So I've been having a I guess there was the beginning where like
time with it.
He talks with Adar.
He was down with Adar and stuff. But he's been here for a while.
I think what's very impressive.
I think Celebrimbor's actor is really good too. But yeah, go on.
I think what's really impressive is like how he's able to sound like when he's an elf. He's like, his voice has been less gruff, right? Like he had more of like a graveliness to his voice when he was Halbrand, and so I'm just very impressed with how he can seem very elven. Like at first I thought he looked a little weird, but I think as it went on, they got better with like the makeup and stuff for him, and that is something that happens in like all of the movies too, actually. And so, I think he's fit the role so well. And I like that they show these little scenes where when Celebrimbor's back is turned to him, he's just got like this evil fucking grin on, dude. He's just smirking, and then he immediately changes his face to like you. I like that they're showing, yo, I am Sauron. I am, like, they're not trying to make it seem there is no gray area here. Like, bro is now full evil. Bro is just straight wicked. I love it.
It's really good.
I'm very excited for next episode because I fully assume, and I will be very disappointed if next episode he's not just full like trying to be in control.
Mask off by
If he doesn't next episode, I'm gonna freak out.
I really like I think that Celebrimbor does a really they do a really good job of having him, at least in this episode, be a little resistant and be like,
yeah,
hey man,
he didn't just roll over and die.
What the fuck's going on here? You know, like this is a little weird. And you know, I really like the scene with Anatar and that girl elf.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what her name
like
is.
that seems awesome when she's wearing the fucking ring and she goes invisible and she's fucking losing it and she takes it off and she's like, I saw
Redania,
a man made of fire, and you just see you're like, holy shit. Like she saw him. And the way he plays it though, like you see somebody's true nature, you know, I've been trying to redeem him. Like it's Celebrimbor that you're seeing, you know, not me. And we got the context for the line from the trailer of, I think it's been here. I think it's been here among us all along.
Yeah, no, that was
right?
that was very very good trailer editing.
Yeah,
you know, because they make it seem like it's Galadriel that actually says it in the trailer. So yeah, I think that also kills the theory of like he can be multiple people also, right? Like that was like, okay, I'm like, there's a 1% chance last episode. I was like, maybe, but it's probably 1%. I think it fully kills it this episode. Yeah, I think overall, the thing that I want to see more, and I don't think that we'll see too much of it this season, is in the Lord of the Rings movies. Sauron is like a force, like an idea where like you can see his hand on everything, right? Whereas I feel like in this, more so, like it has changed a little bit with the forging of like the Dwarven rings, right? But I think there was a lot of things that, they're being attributed to Sauron, where it's unless we like see him going and doing stuff along the way later or something, like I feel like they're just giving him way too much credit in this, right? Where it's like, Sauron woke up these what are they called? The like ghosts that they fought.
The Barrow-wights.
The Barrow-wights, yeah. Like, Sauron woke it up, and Sauron broke this bridge, and like there's this evil force that's making it so we can't sing to the mountain anymore, and like all of these things are just like being attributed to Sauron, where it's like, I don't know, I don't. And in the movies where like he with the ring and everything, you believe that all these things that are happening are because of him, right? Whereas in this, it's more so just the stuff with the ring, and then like he wasn't even the reason that like Mount Doom blew up, right? So it's like so like therefore the like earthquake happening isn't even because of him, and like all of these other things that are bad that are happening that they're like, it's Sauron, it's Sauron. It's like, no, this is just like unlucky / like other evil things happening, right?
Yeah.
So I want to see more of it actually being him. Like I want actual mastermind Sauron. And yeah, he's like gotten like kind of lucky in these lies, or like he's been smart in these lies that he's been telling so far, and using like the lie that Celebrimbor told against him, and slowly turning one of his main aides against him. Like those things I do like to see, but I do want to see more of him just actually being like a terror, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I think we'll hopefully get some of that in this next episodes. I'm going through my notes of really, like, I think the Celebrimbor stuff. Oh, there's a quick little shot of Elrond running, and he like takes his cloak off while he runs, and it's kind of silly, but I thought it was really fun. Just this quick little scene of him running through the woods.
Yeah, I definitely thought that was like strange. I remember thinking about that exact scene, and being like, or like when I was watching it, thinking, bro, like somebody's gonna like trip on that now, like, cause he was like in the front, like he takes off his cape while he's running, like, this cape is so heavy.
Bites it.
Yeah, he doesn't like throw it to the side, like it's just immediately in their path. The thing I do actually like in that scene is that the gait of the other people running, it kind of they look much more elven. He does like an okay job where like his head does not move while he runs. Like it stays at like the same level. So I do think there's like they do a good job of like, okay, even in like down to the how you walk, you are an elf or you are a dwarf, right? I do love seeing that type of stuff. I do hope they end up putting like behind the scenes stuff out for all of these
that'd be great.
Seasons. It'd be super awesome.
Yeah,
I love watching all that stuff.
And I mean, we get the ending of like, all right, let's go to war. Time to go fight. Elrond goes to Gil-galad to be like, hey man, we got to go to Eregion right the fuck now. And we get the scene of Galadriel being like, I'm going to fucking kill you, Adar. And he's like, hang on a second. Hang on. Hold on. What if, hear me out. What if instead we go get that son of a bitch, Sauron, together? What do you think about that? How do you like that? So I'm really, it's like, okay, we've been building up to these last 3 episodes. I really just am like, all right, take it home now.
I'm trying to find where he sees the vision. Because like we see Gil-galad and she's like, while we wait, their army is like growing stronger. And then,
yeah, and then he has a vision. Yeah,
he's pondering his orb, So like his vision is like really weird to me because you see like what effectively looks kind of almost like an explosion or an eruption happening where like these like rocks are like shaking and breaking apart and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, there's all the dead fish.
You see a bunch of dead fish and it's like you see like the outline of like Sauron in his armor, fire, more Sauron armor, more fire, and then you see like an orc drinking some blood of something, more fire, some dude lit on fire, and then like that's it, right? And then the next time when he's talking to Elrond, he's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but we're not, like, I feel like Sauron's been in on this the entire time.
We're fucked, like, we're not playing into his hand any further.
Yeah, and so I mean, I guess, can I see when he's walking in? Do we see the ring on Gil-galad? Yeah, right. Like, did he take it off? Did he like go? I don't trust this shit anymore.
I think he has it on still.
I'm like rewatching the scene right now, kind of trying to, because he basically says it's not possible. I believe Sauron is in on this from like the very start. But like we don't know what he means by from the very start. Like, does he think that the tree was BS, right? Like, does he think that the rings were BS? Like what? If like marching, like basically he ends up saying like, yeah, we can't fight both the armies of Adar and Sauron, right? And like the thing that's weird is like, okay, so we're assuming that like he doesn't know that they're not together, right? And then he also like assumes that Sauron has an army and that it's like already there. Like, yeah, it's weird to say like we can't do this alone. But then like in sending aid, you are fighting with both Celebrimbor's army and yours, so that's like already 2 armies essentially, right? Yeah. And then like what does giving up like do, right? And then there's the but not alone, and then we don't see him again, right? Because there's just then the Galadriel Adar scene. And then we see like some forging happening and then it ends, right? So yeah, I don't know. That part left me feeling pretty unfulfilled, but I get that it's the last 30 seconds of an episode is to make you want to watch the next one, right? To wait for the next one. This will definitely this like, exact scene will be in the recap, you know?
yeah. And they're setting up such a big final 3 episodes that like,
right. And obviously he gets there because like in all of the like material we see like Elrond charging on a horse, right? Thinking about like what we're gonna see with the fighting, I guess we had talked about it on a previous episode, and having thought about it, it was a question that I had kind of asked, like how is Aragian gonna be like defended, right? And at this point, I just believe, you know, they're going to be getting attacked by orcs, so the elves are going to just be attacking the orcs, right? Like, defending against the orcs. Yeah. And then Anatar is there as an elf, right? And nobody knows that he's not an elf besides Celebrimbor, right? And then he already is kind of turning... what's her name? Like, Mirdanian or something? I don't remember. But
yeah, that girl, yeah.
She's already like in love with him, you know, like
yeah.
And so I guess I can see where that comes into play. And then essentially he'll just take over the orc army by the end in some way. I guess that's the main thing where I question, because you know they keep saying it over the course of the entire series, like power over flesh, right? Like over the mortal realm, over flesh, over this, over that. And I thought King Durin was also gonna say over flesh, because he's like power over rock, over the ground, right? I was like, is he about to say over flesh, bro? But no, that we'll hear him say that in a later episode when he's more intoxicated by the ring, right? But yeah, I guess that's my main question. As far as with Sauron, like, how is he just gonna now be in control of all the orcs? Like, they just are like, our father Adar is dead, and the guy who killed him is now telling us what to do. I guess we just gotta listen, right? Like, I need to see something cool, and like I mean, like in the. It's funny, they do have it literally listed when you are done like watching an episode of Rings of Power, right? And you go back to the like the main like Prime page and stuff, and they have like the Explore page that will like immediately pop up. And it has the inside episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You scroll down a bit. There's season 1 recap. Scroll down a little bit. There's some lore about the elves, dwarves, Númenórean, and then other, which it has like Sauron, Adar, like, you know, Stranger, the Dark Wizard, like all that stuff, right? Scroll down some more artifacts, creatures, lore. Scroll a little bit more. They got the Shadow of War and Mordor games, right? And how they explain it in the Shadow games is that through the like just their power, like orcs have like a easily meldable and controllable mind, and like that's how you end up having, because like in the Shadow of Mordor game, basically the main character merges with Celebrimbor's like ghost, right? Like his wraith. Because, like, basically they say, in forging these rings of power, even though he didn't have his own, he basically ended up being connected to the rings and their power. And so if the rings exist in the similar way to Sauron being able to exist, he also exists, right? And so, like, Sauron doesn't die unless the One Ring is destroyed, right? And so it'd be, like, the same thing for him with the Elven rings, is, like, basically what they say. And so he also has this power to, like, dominate people's minds and stuff, right? And I wonder if that's what they're going to go with, kind of where, like, this other, like, orc captain character that they show, who's, like, talking to Adar in the, like, random scenes. Like, he's the one who ends up putting the knife to Galadriel's throat. His name's Glug. Glug. He, it might be Glug. It's a U with, like, an accent on it, so I actually don't know.
Okay.
But I wonder if they show a scene where, like, he mentally dominates that guy, and then so that guy tells the other people, and then therefore, like, he has that pull. I do also think, like, they just respect, like, some of the other darker creatures just respect him that are not
Sauron.
orcs, right? Like there's the big troll that comes up and is like, "Where is Sauron?" Right?
Yeah.
And he kills the orc messenger. So it kind of makes me feel like he's like, "Where is Sauron?" Meaning like, I respect him, right?
I don't respect your ass. Yeah, where's...
Yeah, like that's the vibe I got. Did you get that vibe? That he was like, I don't take orders from you, I take orders from Sauron.
Yeah, I get... That's the vibe I got as well.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was like he also hates Sauron and I didn't catch the vibe, but...
No, my vibe was like... was more of what you were thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'd give the episode like a solid 7 or 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's about where I'm at as well.
Yeah, 7 or 8. I'm really excited for action next season or next episode. I mean,
next episode.
It better not take next season.
Yeah. Like I said, like, you know, I've had my issues with this season, but this is where you sell me on it.
Yeah.
You know, this is where you kind of say it was worth it.
One last thing I want to ask you about.
Mm-hmm.
Because so the two groups of people we did not have at all is like the stranger, and I'm not going to ask you any question about the stranger because who really cares? What I'm going to ask you about is the other group of people that we did not see, which is the Southlanders timeline, right, with the Isildur and stuff, right? So
yeah,
what do you think is going to happen with the Southlanders in these next few episodes?
I don't
like. Where do we
know.
go? Where do we go from here? Right? Because like it seems like
they said they were going after Adar, right?
Well, it seems like. I don't really know with the Isildur. They didn't really explain because it made it seem like Arondir is now, yo, I heard Adar is here. I'm gonna go after him. Theo, you can come with me if you want. And Theo's like, I got my own promises to keep. And you're like, what the fuck? What promises does he have to keep? Right? Like
he's got to go be the Witch King. He's got to go be the king of these people.
I better hear what they're trying like.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, what do you think is going to happen with Isildur? I guess right because like there's this love interest is like kind of killed, but I don't know like her betrothed is like a wildman as well, right? So like
yeah,
who knows? Like there's
really
the weird gray area
idea.
of like, well they had to do it or else they'd just be dead, right? And
yeah,
it doesn't inherently make them evil
it's
to just be like,
died then.
yo, I was
I
was a slave to like this evil elf.
Yeah.
In order to not die, does that just make me this inherent like evil person? Absolutely not, right? So like, there is that gray area there, but I don't know. I guess. We'll see. I really don't know what's going to happen with Isildur at this point.
I guess that's really all I can say at this point is I hope it's good.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just going to and like that whole I wonder if Isildur and like Estrid and Theo like if they like take a major backseat. They already weren't in this episode at all. But I wonder if like
I guess
end up getting more of like the Gil-galad type amount of screen time where
I guess
it just
feels like they've barely been in the season.
Yeah, and then even when they were, I'm kind of like too much happened.
Yeah, so I'm kind of just like, okay, are we gonna get any big resolution, or is this season just the like in between season for them?
Yeah, and the thing that's really weird about the whole Southland timeline too is like I don't know like what is their goal? What are they doing now? Right? Like obviously they have left the Southlands. They're in this new area where it's like this port town in the Southlands. At least that's what I assume is that it's like along the river, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess where we could end up, I don't know. What I thought was gonna happen was that the boats were gonna. So, you know, the advisor is telling Gil-galad, we're wasting time, right? So I'm sitting there like thinking while I'm watching, okay, so he's going to send them on the boats because what the plan was is that they were going to go up this river. Like if you remember in the Lord of the Rings, the third movie, Aragorn goes to these boats that are coming up the river. It's that same river. So they were going to be the boats on the river coming up and then going towards Mordor instead of going towards Gondor, right? And so what I thought was going to happen is okay, I assume that this town, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and like rewatch, but I assume that this town is at least near the river because there's like, oh, this is like an old Numenorian city. That's why it has this aqueduct. That's where they're like taking refuge for now, right? But like because they don't have a leader, because they don't have like this real like what are we doing? What I thought was gonna happen is that Gil-galad's gonna be like, okay, I can't waste any time. Almost on some like Helm's Deep, like, okay, Éomer gets sent away, right? And it was gonna be a similar thing where there's this huge force of people that are going the wrong way. And someone needs to like let them know they're going the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
And what I was thinking was going to happen is that in going the wrong way and going up the river, Isildur's like the Southlanders are going to see all these boats, and then maybe the boats stop because they see all these humans, and they're saying, "Hey, we're on the way. We're going to Mordor to go kill Adar, right?"
Yeah.
And so then what I thought was going to happen is like, okay, well, Estrid was like part of that, at least to some degree, and then maybe her betrothed knows more. Like they know, oh no, the orcs aren't even in Mordor anymore. They went this way. And then so like that's how Isildur was just like going to go with them and then go fight.
Maybe,
That's what I thought was going to happen. But now it seems like at this point, like they didn't even send anybody. So I don't know how the Southlanders are a part of this overall story like at all at this point, other than just this ragtag team of Isildur, maybe Estrid and Arondir, or if it's just Isildur, Arondir, like we're gonna go kill Adar, just the two of us. Like, that quest is like pretty weird to me. So I get it, like where it's just like Arondir, like, oh, he's just gonna try and assassinate him or something, right? Like he's gonna just try and shoot him with a bow or something, right? But yeah, I don't know. So that's why I want to get your thoughts. What do you think's gonna happen?
I've got no fucking clue. I wish I had a better answer for you. I
guess let us know in the comments, dude. We did a bad job of having a call to action on the other episodes. I like realized, like, let us know in the comments what you guys think is gonna happen or what you would like to see happen with the Southlanders.
Yeah.
How are they gonna tie into it? Because we don't fucking know.
Yeah. My only thought is like, there's a part of me that's just like, they don't.
Yeah.
This is just like an in-between season for them.
I could see that.
You know, I don't
like maybe Isildur gets like random scenes here and there where he shows that he is like becoming a leader of these Southlanders.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we don't see them for 2 episodes and then we see them in the finale and we are like, oh, look at how things have changed during everything going on in the Region.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know.
I think the other thing that's weird about it too is like there definitely felt like, okay, they're surviving, but they are not safe because like there could be like orcs and wildmen out everywhere. Like that was the vibe at the beginning.
Yeah.
When Isildur was like trying to get to this town where he knew that they were at, right? And then he's also like injured and all this stuff, and it seemed like, okay, the world is like fraught with danger right now. But then all these orcs are now in Arakian. So it's like, I don't know what conflict could possibly happen except for the Southlanders versus like the slave Southlanders. You know what I mean? Like now, because they got burned by Adar, because they got captured,
we gotta go to war with them.
Now we're evil and we want to be in control of this, of like the rest of the survivors, right? Like, yeah. I don't know. I guess are they just gonna have Isildur be this character of like, you're not evil? Like we need to not cast out the people who have the mark, right? But just because he likes
the most sense.
Just because he likes this girl who's actually engaged.
Yeah. He's trying to get laid. I don't know what the fuck you want from him, dude.
He just was frame one trying to kiss her, bro. That I still am just like, who wrote this, bro? That part. If he was like trying to console her, like hug her, like it's okay, that's one thing. But he was just straight going for a kiss on a
lock that man up
on a woman that he is assuming. I guess maybe at that point he's like, do you even have a, like, are you actually even engaged? Like, was that bullshit, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still weird. It's still bad writing, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's cringe. All right, that's gonna wrap us up. I forget what I do at the end of episodes. I guess, well, guys, everybody, thanks for listening. I want to plug our good friends, Meadow Vista Media, who did the music. I guess we should probably start planning on a episode having them on, or having one of them on. I'm not sure, but I guess we'll do that when we're done with the season. We want to at least see if what these last few episodes have musical wise. And at Alex_Big Boy, who did the juiced cover art.
Hell yeah.
Jason, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Dude, you already know. Subscribe, Super SpikeGhetti Bros, for the all of our shows. We're cooking, and there's more coming. That's not just Second Breakfast. So, yeah. Drop a like.
Podcast network, if you will.
Give us your theories in the comments of what you think is gonna happen. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah, join the Discord where we talk about this as well as, you know, Kingdom Hearts and all the other goodies that we talk about. And
any sort of nerd shit you can think of.
Any nerd stuff. We got it. There's some people in the Discord who would be willing to talk to you about it, and everybody's cool. So join the Discord. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you back here next week. Enjoy your 11s, Z's, your supper, and your afternoon tea in that order, backwards. And we'll see you next week for episode 6.